3, 2, 1.
thing, actually, because it's a very true flavor of that grape. So I'm just going to explain a little bit more about the production room. So you're turning that fermenting grape juice into wine. And then, like with table wine, it'll just go through a filter and then it'll be bottled. And then that's kind of that cycle of the wine. I mean, there's more to it, but that's the quick version. So the sparkling wine, however, goes through 2 fermentations. So the first fermentation, just like standard wine, we add yeast, sparkling wine yeast, and yeast nutrients and sugar into the tanks. Then we bottle it right away. So when we bottle it, it's very cloudy. And we'll put like a beer bottle cap on it at this point. Just cap it, and then it'll lay down. It won't have any labels or anything on it on. We'll lay it down in a crate, and it will sit for anywhere between 2 years and 20 years. So we do have some 20-year-old sparkling. Well, we just sold out of it actually yesterday. But the next vintage coming up is going to be 93. So pretty old. And our youngest is 2 years, which is the Brut. And the longer that it sits with that lees, the flavors, 2 things are going to happen. The flavors are going to change. The flavors are going to move from being really bright and fruity to more autolytic flavors like yeasty, bready, brioche, maybe nutty. So you get that different flavor from the length of time it spends with the yeast in the bottle. When we want to remove the yeast, traditionally, we stopped using these about 9 years ago, but traditionally you would have had the bottles in here. Somebody would have come along once a day, turned the bottle a quarter of a turn, and just knocked it up to loosen any of the yeast. You want to have, when the yeast dies, it dies after about 3 or 4 years, it'll sink to the bottom, and you want to get it all the way down into a nice little pile on top of the cap. Because the way you're going to remove it is you're going to flash freeze this section of the bottle in minus 16, minus 20 degrees. Then all of that yeast is going to be frozen into, it's like a frozen yeast cork, essentially. So when you remove the cap, all of the pressure that's built up in the bottle from that secondary fermentation, about 4 to 6 bars of pressure, is going to force out that frozen yeast. So you hear a loud pop, the yeast is gone, and then you just quickly cover the wine again. You don't want to lose all of the wine, so you quickly cover the bottle. And then the volume is going to drop to about here. And we're going to want to add something, well, not every winery does. There is such thing as sparkling wine without any sweet fruity wine added, a dosage. But we do add 10 milliliters of a fruitier wine just to give it a little boost, sweeten it up a little bit, makes it a little bit easier to drink. So we add 10 milliliters of that. That will sink to the bottom because it's very thick and sweet and fruity. And then we top it up with more brut or more sparkling if we need to, just to make sure that it's 750 milliliters. We add the cork, the cage, and then it goes through a little washing machine. It's rinsed because after 20 years, you can imagine, some of that yeast kind of starts to bubble out, dust, bugs, all kinds of things. So we wash that, and then we add the label and the foil. And at the very end of the machine, of the line, somebody's going to be pulling the bottles out of the labeling machine. They're going to do this 3 times to mix that thicker, sweeter dosage in with the rest of the sparkling. If you don't do that, it will sit down here for a while. So you want to mix it so that those flavors can actually integrate. And then we leave it for a month for those flavors to integrate. It might be a little bit darker, so take your time, let your eyes adjust. The floor changes color, and it looks like there's a step, but there's not, don't worry. But as soon as you get to the top of the stairs, you're going to turn right, and then just grab a seat in there, okay? on the leaves for too long because you want a fruity flavor with them. So I'm told these are no longer good to drink, but hasn't stopped me from asking every time.